So recently I haven't been playing that many games.
Is that so?
My lack of gaming has made me wonder why I made a channel talking predominantly about games in the first place. The shocking conclusion is that I still do love games, and just because I'm in a bit of a slump doesn't mean anything in the long term. I'm in a phase, if you will. And it's not because I don't want to play anything, I can never decide what to play. Decisions are hard. I get to those precious hours of free time where I know I want to relax and pick something, anything to play. Sometimes I sit down with the intention, the full intention of playing a game, and I don't know what, and my mind goes blank, or I overthink it so much, and the game that I was dreaming about all day long suddenly doesn't feel like a good idea anymore. Sometimes I see a handful of people complain that there's nothing out there to play and all modern games suck. I mean, maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. People complain a lot. I tend to see a lot of the negative opinions from people on social media, which is why I've kind of stopped looking at social media, because I like to formulate my own opinions. I have this opposite problem where, instead of thinking there's nothing to play, I think there's too much. There are games upon mountains of games in a huge extending backlog, piling up physically and digitally. Like, it's so easy to click that button when there's a sale, right? On paper, this isn't a bad thing. Like, more games, more fun, more choice. It's good, right? I remember as I was growing up, games were growing alongside me, the choices increasing and my horizons broadening. But now my mind is swamped by thoughts like, which one do I play first? Do I start up something new even though I've started up 10 new things already in an attempt to enjoy something? I'm playing games in my free time willingly, like I want to enjoy myself. I want to make sure I'm spending my free time correctly.
This is definitely one of the more interesting problems I've had to face in my life.
With strangers' opinions on the internet often stated as facts, like a game is definitely unplayable or is definitely poorly designed, it subconsciously influences my opinion of a game and will more often than not deter me from enjoying a game as much as I could have done. We're in a world now where connecting with others is easier than it's ever been. There are feeds of information constantly, opinions can be showcased freely, people can complain or brag with a click of a button, or you can be completely anonymous with what you say. And all of this can be pretty hard to ignore even when it's not directed directly at you. Everyone has different taste, every single person. So going into a game blind and judging the game for yourself and solidifying your own opinion, it's what I should do for sure. How many times have you had your own opinion of something only to then go online and find someone arguing the exact opposite? More on this later. Brushing my teeth in the morning, I look at myself. I think, what am I playing right now? What is my gaming goal? Gaming is my main hobby, and I want this ultimate goal. I want to make sure I'm playing something I want to finish. I'm a person that likes to see a lot of games through. And the problem recently is that I feel like I'm not playing the right thing, I don't have that confidence. This is clearly a sign of my tendency to overthink. I kind of want to talk about this and look into this a bit more. Life update. So I moved into a new place in February. Everything changed very quickly. My routine had to change. It meant I had to leave some half-played console games on pause for about a month or so. Moving 100+ miles across the country without a console in hand made playing them fairly difficult. I was playing Atomic Heart on the PS5, both the game and the PS5 I got for Christmas. Very grateful. I was playing through Watch Dogs on the PS3. I had started Cuphead on the PS4 briefly. And let's not forget that I still haven't finished my replays of Dragon Age Origins and Final Fantasy XIII. I also need to restart Prey, actually, and finish the end of Soma. Two games I have neglected for a while. And I started this point and click called Encodia, which I kind of have forgotten that I was playing. Sometimes you just move on to something else and forget you're even playing. I don't know if that's just me. Probably it's just me. I also got Final Fantasy XVI recently. Clive. Isn't Clive an interesting name? Yeah, as I said, I moved places. 3 weeks in January leading into February included no access to consoles. I had access to internet, but just no consoles. So I packed as many handhelds as I could in preparation. I also decided to maybe try and focus more on Steam, because I prefer console over Steam. You know, I grew up with PlayStation and stuff, but the bigger picture here for context is that I currently have 352 games on Steam, or 353. Collected over 12 years of being. Picking a game out of my library on Steam and actually sticking to it hasn't been easy. I've bought, installed, uninstalled so many games in an art of frustration. I feel like I have wasted so much time clicking around and searching for nothing in particular, rather than sitting and focusing on playing just something, anything, just to, you know, experience something new. But instead I'm doing basically nothing. I don't even know what I'm looking for half the time. I even tried to transition to playing my Switch, which I have like one game for. Yes, it's Animal Crossing. After browsing Steam for hours, or for days actually, I kind of changed to the eShop, the Nintendo eShop on the Switch.
1, 2, 1, 2, front, back, we'll move at this rhythm.
And started browsing that in a very similar fashion. Like I didn't learn, I don't want to say wasted time, but kind of, I spent a lot of time sitting just browsing and browsing. I would do it one day and go back the next day and browse basically the same stuff, as if, you know, I was hoping I'd missed something. I still have to ponder and really weigh up all of the options and the reasons why I shouldn't buy anything, and I struggle with things that make decision making difficult, and I always second guess myself with most things in life. And you know, psychologically there are just so many reasons why humans may hesitate picking one thing over another, even when it's something basic like, what should I have for breakfast today? I do envy people that can make decisions very quickly. I'd love to know what goes through your mind. Probably nothing. You probably don't even think about it that much. You can just be like, I want to do this and do that, and I'm very envious of you. So if you can do that, then I applaud you.
If any stranger enters your area, remember to cluck hysterically, flap your wings, and run around in circles. We're chickens. That's what we do.
So moving on to the next thing, motivation. What does motivation mean? Google tells me it's a reason or reasons for acting or behaving in a particular way. So with gaming, a big majority of people play games for entertainment or, you know, escapism, etc. And not everyone on the planet enjoys gaming, of course. There are many hobbies out there, and gaming is one of the options in the list. There's a lot to choose. You can narrow your choices down so specifically. There are hundreds of genres and sub-genres and styles to choose from. If I wanted to find a game that's about sentient corn, I can do that. You can find exactly what you're looking for, or something very close to it. Sometimes you do not even know what you're looking for, despite the fact that people have been coming up with ideas for all of history. There is always room for so much more. Wanting to experience a certain type of genre can be a big motivator. Action, multiplayer, fantasy, strategy, horror, RPG, puzzle, simulation, etc. Within all of these, there's also the why you're playing those games. You know, like you might want to play for competition, completion, design, creativity, story experience, or just plain relaxation. I personally switch between all of these. I really enjoy a story-rich game, but sometimes I also want something a bit more puzzly to make my brain work for once. Often I like watching a lot of cinematics, but I also like games with a lot of style and unique mechanics. And see, you know, games aren't all that bad. You see reviews telling you a game is bad, but what even is bad anyway? Good and bad is all subjective. Something someone thinks is bad might be something you love. In my opinion, reviews are only as useful as the thought put into them. I get a sense that a handful of negative reviews are posted without much care sometimes.
I've always been better than you.
Or even worse, when it's done to just join a hate bandwagon. I prefer reviews that are well thought out. What I want to see more are reviews that keep in mind that their own opinion won't be necessarily what everyone else will experience. This reminds me of a really good sentence review I saw on Letterboxd. It said, "It's very good. I just don't really like it." I also saw a tweet recently. This person was saying that they often would play a game without any exposure to the internet, you know, especially as a kid, and feel positive about it, love it, and then come online and see suddenly that there's lots and lots of negative reviews and be confused. Like they would see, oh, this part of the game is bad, when they actually saw no problem with it. From my viewpoint, you see, seeing all the opinions and reviews first before you go into something must have a certain percentage of effect on your thoughts. In this case, going into a game. Like, I personally hate getting this preconceived notion that whatever I'm playing is going to suck entirely, or in certain areas or aspects. And when you go into something with expectations like that, it's going to be in your mind, like, even if it's kind of more subconscious or in the back of your mind. Can't really look at this aspect of the game blind anymore. Really, you should feel excited to try something and come out of it with your own individual, unique opinion, which I'm sure, of course, you can share and discuss. I just think you should be able to discuss these things without feeling like your own opinion is, you know, maybe a wrong one. And I really feel this. I struggle a lot. You know, in general, this has worried me so much because there's just a pile of games I've never touched. Here's an example. I forever thought I was dumb for liking Final Fantasy 13 and Dragon Age 2. It's not like they even had low critic scores. I just randomly kept seeing negative comments, hateful even, like just people complaining and comparing it to the other games in their series. I've been terrified of playing Mass Effect Andromeda for years. Like, I think way too much about those mixed reviews, and sure, of course you can have an opinion. Negative or constructive reviews are inherently fine to share, but if you're someone like me who gets easily affected by others' opinions, then it's a breeze to start doubting how you actually feel. Sometimes professional reviews differ a lot to user reviews, and then there's comments on social media versus magazine articles. So which one do you ultimately trust? All of those opinions are written and shared for different reasons, with different goals in mind, by different people in different situations. If you find yourself in a situation where you want the help of reviews, you need to pick carefully. Whether it be a professional reviewer or user reviews, you need to think about the context in which they are written and the effort put into providing information to help you make an informed decision. In my experience, that's easier said than done. You know, picking out good reviews without coming across unhelpful ones as well is hard. After using the internet, you might not even realise you've been influenced. Your memories of a game are now a mix of your own thoughts and all of those opinions and comments you've read and seen.
1, go.
You know, I have another example. Take Siberia 3. It's a vastly hated game, and I can see why. However, the biggest thing for me is that, you know, the game crashed and it was genuinely unplayable from a certain point on the PS4. I think a large number of people had this issue, but I actually thought the game itself, like the graphics were fine, I was enjoying the story, the characters are fine, the locations, the music, you know, everything was fine to me, it was good. The game breaking like that does suck, and I want to be able to play it, I want to be able to experience it. But, you know, what I did was I just took away the positives and moved on. And sure, you can give heads up to people like, look, this game, it can be a good experience, but if so-and-so thing really bothers you, then this is what happens, but it doesn't bother me, and therefore, you know, this is what I've taken from it.
What a catastrophe.
So back to motivation, do you find your own reasons for playing a game, or do you let social media or critic scores judge if you play a game or not? Personally, it's hard to play a game based on my own choice alone. I should really be looking at the pictures and the description and being like, does this sound interesting to me? If it does, I'll give it a go. I don't do that anymore. I just see if it says positive or negative or mixed, and if it's positive, I might give it a go. This is a recent development. I do often like games that have mixed reviews. I like mixed games. I even mentioned it in my first video.
I don't care about mixed. Mixed means variety.
I've gotten so much in the habit of looking at star ratings or reviews that I've spent way longer than I would have wanted browsing rather than playing. And this wasn't really on purpose, but I have kind of stopped giving games a chance. In general though, obviously it depends what matters to you as a player, as an individual. Sure, some games don't run well, but if you're someone who can see past that sort of thing, then maybe that particular game won't be a negative experience for you. And in my opinion, focusing on what a game is offering to you is important. I'm pretty sure Skyrim and Oblivion have a lot of glitches, but people love those to pieces. I personally actually wasn't a fan of Skyrim when I first started it up. That's not a common opinion, but the game didn't offer anything for me at the point that I was playing it. Does that mean I want to throw a negative review on Skyrim? Not really. I can see why other people enjoy it. My point is basically, people are different. Don't listen to people. Listen to me. Personally, this all affects my motivation, you know, seeing what other people think and seeing ratings on things sometimes very in your face. And also the enemy here really is thinking. The more I sit and think, the more I get indecisive and the more tedious the act of playing a game feels. Of course, depression and anxiety also has a part to play, but it doesn't help when I put more hurdles in front of myself. All I should be doing is taking a game from my shelf and playing it. Instead, I just spend hours thinking, what if it's not the right decision? Video games are meant to be an escape for enjoying your free time and alleviating stress from everyday life. It definitely has gotten more overwhelming. A lot of people may not ever relate to that, but I do think most of us at some point as humans, even if it's more in relation to films or music or TV shows or books, you kind of cycle through all of your options for ages and end up getting frustrated with the amount of choices in front of you, because ultimately, what if you pick something you hate when you could pick something you love? But that's the joy of trying things out. I have only just recently started teaching myself this, that this is okay.
Great party!
Yep.
Achievement hunting. Not everyone loves the idea of achievement hunting. To be honest, I love looking at the global stats of games and seeing how far people didn't make it. Weird hobby, I know. Like for the game Shadows of the Damned, 89 people didn't get to the point of starting a new game. Of course, this might be a different issue, but I truly want to believe that 89 people got to the main menu and were like, nah. Apparently 1,125 people didn't like that first bonfire flame in Dark Souls. Here's one more. Sucker punched for entering the world of Sly Cooper. 289 struggled with that one. Personally, I think achievement hunting is really, really cool. I also think getting 100% in games in general is something to be proud of and a fun thing to strive for. I remember going for everything in like some PS2 games and Nintendo games and just getting that sense of completion from within the game itself. There's nothing like thinking that you've successfully completed everything that a game has to offer, like collecting all of the stars in the Mario game or successfully documenting all the fish and bugs in Animal Crossing. You know that sound, that pop-up sound on the PS3? I absolutely love hearing that sound, especially when I first got my PS3 and just seeing that like percentage climb, getting finally to like 80, 90, 100%. That shiny platinum trophy was finally there for the taking. I think the first platinum I ever got was Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. The whole achievement hunting thing is like this extra layer of challenge, and sure, you could make these challenges up yourself, but getting rewarded is such a key part of the human experience.
Not bad. Keep going.
I do appreciate it when people make their own achievements though and kind of showcase it, like playing the hardest difficulty whilst only using a basic weapon. I also love browsing flashy Steam profiles that have a lot of achievements. I think it's really satisfying to look at, and plus people put a lot of work into this kind of thing. Look, I even have my Steam laid out nicely. This is kind of another motivator, another way that you can feel happy and get more out of the hobby of gaming. When you beat a game that you truly love and enjoy, there's this urge to keep playing. And what better thing to do than trying to do everything that they have put into the game to do. You know, that's why on How Long to Beat there are story mode lengths and completionist lengths, and some are insanely different, I'll tell you that. So I have this achievement section because this is sometimes a big motivator for me when playing a game. If I don't know what to play, sometimes I'll go back to a game and get those final achievements that I need. It gives that sense of accomplishment, and if I'm struggling to start something new, then getting that sense of achievement reward, you know, makes me feel better about myself after doing it. Sometimes that's the kind of boost you need to kind of get back into gaming, you know, completing some sort of challenge. I did this with a game called 12 is Better Than 6 recently. I actually could kind of just switch off and just focus on the specific goals, since I had played through and experienced the game in full already. Once you've beaten the game, you know, just going around the map and collecting the collectibles, it's like, I don't know, I love doing that. It's so chill. It's just something you could, you know, put music on to and do that. I think it's underrated. So whether you want that more relaxing experience or something a lot more demanding, there are plenty of ways to use achievements and challenges to spark that motivation for picking up that controller or keyboard. Nostalgia. The nostalgia factor. To me, PS1, PS2, Wii, DS, GBA are the nostalgic ones to me. Ignoring and still continuing to ignore the discourse on social media about physical versus digital. I am like a 90% physical collection type of person. You know, digital is handy. Some games I don't really care about not having a physical copy of, but a lot of them I just love having that physical case. But I do really miss the thick manuals, man. Even though digital is growing and the fact that you can buy digital only PS5 is crazy to me, but you know, I understand because this kind of thing has happened with movies as well. I still like collecting VHS tapes, but I still watch a lot digital. I like having the choice. Some people can't or don't want to have a bunch of cases on their shelves. It does take up room. Gaming being my main hobby, I like to be able to browse and look at the games on the shelves in front of me with my own eyes. Here's my question. Have you ever loaded up a game solely because you missed it or because you want to relive it maybe? Maybe it was a game you were addicted to for a long time and it's been too long since it was sucking more time away from you. Truth be told, some games are harder to jump back into than others. Maybe they have a complex story or maybe it's easy to become rusty at the controls, but you know, sometimes games are simple to start up and jump right back into. Commonly casual types of games have this, you know, like simulators, building games, The Sims, Roller Coaster Tycoon, Animal Crossing. You get the idea. You can switch these games on without there being too much of a curve, like, or anything in your way. You can just jump in and play. Well, as long as it hasn't been like, you know, like 15 years or something. Sorry, my Nintendogs. To me, the reason I have always kept my consoles and physical games is because every now and then I just want to experience that feeling again. As in the feeling of a game calling out to me from my shelves, beckoning me to play and have fun.
Ready for battle.
I'm ready to go.
So, are we all ready?
The amount of times I have looked at my shelves and wanted to add more is... actually, it's probably a bit unhealthy because I should probably play more than I just buy stuff, but the fun comes with collecting as well. I like to bargain hunt most of my games, as in I like to find them for the cheapest price possible, and I find that fun. Growing up, I always asked for a handful of games for my birthday or Christmas. My birthday is in April, so I would wait from April all the way to December. One special Christmas day as a kid, I remember receiving this roller coaster game on the PS2. I had really wanted this game. It was probably because of my newfound addiction with tycoon games around like age 8 or 9 or 10. I had been waiting for so long that I truly loved that game to pieces and I could never part with it. And I think the thing is, as an adult, I can kind of get games when I want to. That has slightly taken away the need to play a game once I've gotten it. It kind of goes on my shelf and then it's there and I know it's there, but I kind of forget to play some of them. Sometimes this could be your reason for picking a game, nostalgia. Sometimes it gets tiring to keep up with all of these modern and new releases, and sometimes nostalgia is what I'm looking for. Nostalgia is powerful. It's a great way to reconnect with a game that brought you joy. But also it's important to keep in mind that you don't have to have played older games before to make them fun. Any game, new or old, can be a very special, happy place for you. And finding games to play that make you happy, that's important. You know that word? Replayability. The quality or fact of being suitable for or worth playing more than once. And what games are that for you? I think the joy of replayability and replaying stuff a lot of the time comes from experiencing something new or different when you press that begin button again. There are a bunch of games out there where gameplay is pretty much just based on this idea and that the outcome of the chapter or the full story depends on the choices and routes you take, and that's cool. I love this genre. When I finish these games, I always want to play through again, pick all the bad options, basically be an asshole, but actually my heart can't take it. I don't want to be mean. The amount of guilt I genuinely feel because it's still me ultimately making this decision is pretty funny. This is probably because I find it hard to separate the decision I'm making and my actual self. You know, like if I make a bad decision, I almost feel like it reflects myself. I remember playing Life is Strange and I made a decision that I thought was good and something I'd probably do in real life, and then something really bad happened and I was like, oh my god. I just tend to play these games and look up the worst endings online afterwards. Yes, I'm a coward. I personally like to get attached to a story, to the characters, And if I am really attached to characters, I don't want to see the bad results. I want people to live, I want people to be happy. I think a decision story driven game is strong when you feel attached to the characters and you will start to care if they get sad or get hurt. This makes decision making, if it's put into your hands, if you have to make a decision on behalf of these characters, it makes it very difficult. You know, of course there's also decision making in terms of picking a game off the shelf like I've been talking about. It's very difficult as well. Back to replayability, for a lot of people being able to pick up a game they already know they love is fun, you know, even at the 500 hour mark or the 1000 hour mark. However, for me, I would much prefer play 5 20-hour games than one 100-hour one. And I think people like me can get burnt out very easily just playing the same thing over and over, which, you know, that compares to someone who seeks a game they can really sink their teeth into and learn every aspect, and it will reward them for that commitment. When knowing a game is long, it has stopped me playing even if the concept has interested me. And something I want to stop is judging games based on their lengths and just getting intimidated rather than just playing for as long as I want to. This is the fantastic thing about gaming though, we all have our own motivations for playing, and I find this fascinating. Conclusion. Yeah, that's all I kind of wrote. All in all, if you are struggling like me in any way with enjoying gaming or even enjoying any of your hobbies, just think about these things. Think about your motivation, like why or why do or did you enjoy this hobby? Was it nostalgic? Is there a sense of accomplishment? Was it to take your mind off the busy world around us? You know, focus on your reason for loving a hobby. And, you know, to me personally, as someone who has been struggling with this, just trying to focus on my own brain and what it wants to do has helped me get back on track. Not trying to look up what other people think I should be doing, sort of thing. So yeah, this video was a bit more rambly, a bit more personal than my previous ones as well. I just wanted to talk more on a certain topic and kind of just write and see where words took me. I have enjoyed this format, so let me know what you think. I have a Patreon open as usual, some things on there, including a vlog actually that I uploaded like kind of mid-January. There's a Patreon only vlog. And yeah, okay, I'm gonna sign off or whatever it is people say. Bye!